Hey, what's going on, Pokemon trainers? Today we are going to be attempting a Bulbasaur only challenge. As a kid, I always wondered who was the best starter. Was it Charmander, Bulbasaur, or Squirtle? I always thought Bulbasaur was one of the best Pokemon starters because I could beat Misty and Brock really easy. But when I got to the end of the game, it seemed like it was probably one of the worst ones you could choose from. Today we are going to see how fast can Bulbasaur beat Pokemon Yellow and if it's the best or worst starter in Pokemon. Bulbasaur doesn't have the best stats, honestly. It's actually pretty fragile, but one thing we're hoping to rely on is its base special of 65, which is okay. Bulbasaur doesn't learn many strong moves, but it does learn Sleep Powder, which is something that's going to help us out tremendously in the late game. In Gen 1, Sleep Powder is pretty overpowered, but unfortunately, it learns it really late at level 41. Now, Bulbasaur's teachables are essentially the basic TMs everyone learns. The ones we are most likely going to teach Bulbasaur is Body Slam, Mega Drain, and potentially Mimic for the Elite Four. So before this attempt, I actually lost against a rival, and I just went ahead and restarted the game. If you lose at the lab, the rival will automatically choose Vaporeon as its evolution, and we don't want that since it would be unfair due to us having a grass type Pokemon. On our second attempt, we defeated our rival and made my way towards where we meet rival number 2 for the rematch. Our opponent sends out Spearow and we sent out Bulbasaur, which we named Subscribe, which you should too if you haven't still. And while you're at it, hit that like button for me. But at level 9, our rival Spearow is too strong and I essentially lose, so that's our first official reset. I try once more. I start off with Tackle, it outspeeds me, uses a Growl, I do no damage, Spearow responds with Peck, taking me down to over half health. I miss my Tackle, what? It responds with Peck and I lose once more. No big deal, we're trying to go for minimum battles here, so we can go ahead and skip instead of wasting a lot more time losing. The goal is now to obtain Vine Whip at level 13 and then face Brock for our first badge. We are now facing Brock for the first badge now that we've obtained Vine Whip, so this should be an easy fight. Knocked out the Geodude in one hit. Next up, Onix, it outspeeds me and uses Bind, well that sucks. It manages to sneak in a tackle and I finish off the snake with one Vine Whip. So this fight was pretty easy since we had a grass move on our side. So Route 11 was fairly difficult, believe it or not. I had nothing against all these bug catchers and youngsters. Their Caterpies were actually challenging, which is something I refuse to believe. Bulbasaur was pretty terrible against certain types, I should say. I literally had to go to the Poké Center after every trainer fight. It just took too much damage. Not only that, those fights just felt like eternity and were so boring. So we've made it to Misty. This fight should be fairly easy. The strategy with Staryu is to use Leech Seed and then Vine Whip, while the strategy with Starmie is use Leech Seed, use Poison Powder, and then spam Vine Whip. With Staryu, we get the knockout. Next up, it's Starmie. It starts off with Harden. We use Leech Seed and then it keeps using Harden. We use Poison Powder next, uses Harden once more. We accidentally use Leech Seed once more. Misty uses the next defend. We start using Vine Whip, takes about a quarter of health. Starmie uses Tackle, but it misses. We use Vine Whip once more, leaving it at 1 HP and it faints to a Leech Seed and Poison combo, earning us the second batch. Looking back at the footage, I probably went overboard, but better safe than sorry, right? We are now about to face rival at Nugget Bridge. Our opponent starts off with Spearow and we sent out Bulbasaur. I start out with Tackle, but sadly Spearow 5 levels below me still outspeeds me and it uses Leer. Spearow uses Fury Attack and I respond with Tackle, taking it down to red health. It uses Leer and I finish off the bird with Tackle. Next up, Sandro. This guy is fairly easy. We use Vine Whip, knock it out in one hit. Next up, our opponent sends out Rattata. We use Tackle and bring the rat down to half health. It responds with Tackle, taking 14 health points away. We use Tackle and finish off the rat. Lastly, Eevee, we use Tackle and it uses Sand Attack, lowering my accuracy. This is not good. We use Leech Seed. Next, it lands. Eevee uses Sand Attack once more and I miss my Poison Powder. Now we're in for some trouble. It uses Tackle on me and I survive. I use Leech Seed and accident again. Oh my god. Eevee uses Tackle and I survive again. I'm hoping for a crit with Vine Whip, but it doesn't land and I lose to rival. Another reset. Attempt 2. Spearow starts off with Leer, but it fails. We land the Tackle. Spearow uses Leer once more and we spam Tackle this time. Spearow uses Fury Attack, doing 12 damage, and we finish off the bird with Tackle. Sandro comes out next. We finish off the Hedgehog in one hit. This is looking better than the last time. We use Tackle against the Rattata, but it responds with Hyper Fang, doing so much damage, but we use Tackle and miss sadly, and it uses Tail Whip, so that's good. We finish off the rat. Next up, Eevee. We start off with using Vine Whip, doing about 30% health. It uses Sand Attack. I try using Leech Seed, but it fails. Eevee uses Tail Whip and we respond with Vine Whip. Eevee tries to lower my accuracy once more and finish off the raccoon by spamming Vine Whip. We've now made it onto the SSN where we fight our rival once again. Somewhere along the way I fought a trainer with a fire Pokemon, which sadly gave my Bulbasaur a burn, but that did not matter as I felt confident in my ability to beat our rival. While in the SSN, I picked up Body Slam, which I've taught to my Bulbasaur, and I've also picked up Rest in case I need it for the Elite Four. I've also ended up fighting some extra trainers here since they have water Pokemon, and I thought it would benefit Bulbasaur to fight them since there isn't many trainers with water Pokemon in the late game. So I've made my way towards LT Surge's gym now, and this was one scary fight. Its Raichu outspeeds me and I'm still burned, so those things are a problem. Starts out with Thunderbolt, it doesn't do much, but I use Body Slam, which doesn't do much either. I use Poison Powder since thanks to LT's good AI, uses an X speed for no reason since it's already faster than me and gives me a free turn to land Poison Powder on it. Raichu uses Growl, I respond with Leech Seed. Raichu uses Thunderbolt, I use Body Slam. So far it's looking like an extremely close match. Who will win though? Raichu uses Growl and I use Body Slam once again. Raichu uses Growl again. I used my last Body Slam hoping it would knock it out, but it doesn't. Raichu used Mega Punch, leaving me at 1 HP. And Raichu faints due to a poison leaf. After earning the third badge, we make our way towards Pokemon Tower 1 where we fight Giovanni for the first time. He sends out Onix, we use Razor Leaf and we ended up getting a one-hit KO. Next up he sends out Rhyhorn, we use Razor Leaf again and we get another one-hit KO. Lastly, he sends out Persian, which Giovanni uses a guard spec, we use Razor Leaf, uses Screech, we use Body Slam again, so he uses Growl, and I finish off the cat with another Body Slam. Now that Giovanni's defeated, next up Erika. So with Erika, the strategy is to use Growth, getting our special up, which is actually going to activate the badge boost glitch, which will essentially get our attack up, allowing us to sweep Erika with ease. But Tangela is a feisty one and continues to use Constrict. After we knock out the Tangela, sadly we ended up leveling up, so everything we essentially worked for went to waste, and Weeping Mirror manages to land a critical hit on me, pretty much bringing me down to half health, and then uses another acid which brings me down to red health. The good thing is that we managed to land the crit on the Gloom, bringing it down to over less than half health, and we managed to knock it out on the second Body Slam. After defeating Giovanni for the Soul Scope and as well as Erika, we make our way towards Lavender Town where we fight our rival once again. Now it has a Fearow, it outspeeds me. I use Body Slam next, uses Mirror Move, I use Body Slam afterwards, and then sends out the Magnemite. Starts out with using Sonic Boom, I use Growth, but I realize I'm taking too much damage, so I need to finish off this fight quick. Finish it off with a Body Slam, use Mega Drain against the shoulder, heal up. Next up it sends out Sandrew, which I use Mega Drain once again, and I'm pretty much back to full health at this point. Lastly, sends out Eevee, I use Razor Leaf against the Raccoon, get a crit, finish it off in one hit, which healing really wasn't necessary, but rather be safe than sorry. After collecting the Pokeflute, I made my way towards Koga's gym, in which I had one super weird trainer fight. He starts out with Drowsy and I sent out Bulbasaur. I use Body Slam and it switches out to another Drowsy. I use Body Slam again and well, I land and get a paralysis, but he can't move, so it switches out again. It sends out the previous Drowsy and I finish it off with Body Slam. Sends out the Drowsy with paralysis and I finish it off as well. Next Pokemon he sends out is Kadabra, but before I manage to land the move on it, it switches out again. I managed to land 2 Body Slams and I finish off the Drowsy. He sends out Kadabra and this time there's no running, so he outspeeds me and uses Side Beam. Then I knock out the Kadabra with Body Slam. Next up, Koga. The strategy here with Koga is to use Growth and potentially sweep Koga's team. It starts off with Venonat. Unfortunately it knows Psychic, so I have to be careful. I started out with using 3 Growths, but then remembered I was almost close to leveling up, so I stopped midway. For those who don't know, your stats reset every time you level up mid-battle, so I decided to wait. After leveling up, now I can go ahead and start using Growths. I use my first one, it misses a Toxic. I use a second Growth and then proceed to use my third Growth as well. But as you saw as well, thanks to my special going up, it also increases my special defense, meaning I could pretty much tank those sidekicks, although they're super effective. The only way I would actually manage to get a lot of damage done to is if it lands a crit, but unfortunately for Koga it didn't land a crit on me, so that's good. Koga decides to use an X attack on the Venonat, but it's too late. I mean, it only did about 8 damage even with the X attack. But lastly, Venomoth. The trick was to heal up a bit because you want to go ahead and stand a chance against this Venomoth, it's pretty strong, honestly, and on top of that, it's 8 levels higher than I am. But thanks to putting it to sleep, we managed to knock it out with Body Slam and as well as getting a paralysis on it. Next up, we make our way towards Pokemon Tower 2 where we fight our rival. One thing I must say about Growth and Sleep Powder is that they're both extremely overpowered and underrated in Gen 1. The way Growth works in Gen 1 is that the user's body grows all at once, raising the attack and as well as its special. While Sleep Powder puts your opponent to sleep, it can last anywhere from 2 to 7 turns. So far, I think Bulbasaur is a decent Pokemon. The only thing that it truly lacks is more of a diverse move pool, if anything more damaging moves. The strongest move Bulbasaur learns is Razor Leaf at 55 base power, or Solar Beam, a 120 base power move, but the downfall to that one is that it requires 2 turns to use. You're better off using 2 Razor Winds and actually attacking than using a Solar Beam. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, and as well as for any other future runs you would like to see. Not only that, if you're enjoying the content, please make sure to like and subscribe, and as well as share to anybody else that might potentially enjoy. But let's get back into the video. Now that we defeated rival, we go ahead and make our way towards Giovanni where he sends out Nidorino. And this tactic here again is pretty much using Growth. At this point we've used 2 growths, following to our 3rd growth. Giovanni uses a guard spec, we use a growth for the 4th time. We start using Mega Drain, take about half if Nidorino's health, and we use a Body Slam to finish it off. Next up he sends out Persian the cat, we use a Body Slam, use a guard spec but no, didn't even phase Bulbasaur. He sends out right home, finish it off in 1 hit, and sadly we level up, so that's unfortunate. But even with our stats reset, the Nidoqueen does not pose a threat to Bulbasaur. We finish off the Nidoqueen in 2 hits and we defeated Giovanni. After this we make our way towards Sabrina, and in this fight you'll pretty much see the power of Growth. Since it starts off with Abra, this is a perfect opportunity for me to start using Growth and fairly easily just set up. But we pretty much just spam 6 growths here. Abra uses Flash, lowering our accuracy down, and after setting up our growths we can go ahead and start using Body Slam, which we do and knock out the Abra in 1 hit. Next up, Kadabra as well, we use Body Slam on it, get the 1 hit KO, and lastly Alakazam, but thanks to our growths we outspeed and get a 1 hit KO against Alakazam. Next up, we're facing the fire type gym leader Blaine. Now this is going to be somewhat of an issue because I'm essentially pretty much the same level as their Pokemon, and that's not good. So we're really going to depend on Sleep Powder and our growths here. So we put the Ninetales to sleep, but it wakes up, and we managed to put it back to sleep as well, and we continue setting up our growths. But we start using Body Slam and it wakes up. No big deal. We use Mega Drain thinking it was going to potentially go for the kill, but it didn't. Sadly, the Ninetales uses Confused Ray on us and puts us to sleep. Next up, Rapid Dash. We put the pony to sleep and we finish off the Rapid Dash in 2 hits thanks to Body Slam. Lastly, Arcanine, we outspeed thanks to our growths and we use Body Slam and finish it off in 3 hits. What I believe was going to be potentially my hardest win actually ended up being my easiest win. So that's really surprising. Now we make our way towards Giovanni, the 8th gym leader, and here we start by using growths. The trio uses Dig and does tremendous damage, bringing us down to less than half health, but we use Mega Drain and recover pretty much all the health it initially cost to us. Next up is the kitty cat. It uses Fury Stripes on me, does a good amount of damage, but with Mega Drain we deal about half damage and we finish off the cat with Body Slam. Now we're at level 50 and it sends out Nidoqueen. We put the Nidoqueen to sleep and we use Growth once again, raising our special, and Giovanni uses a guard spec on Nidoqueen. We use Growth again and now we can no longer use it. We get a critical, so that ended up being less damage than what it initially would have been. We use Body Slam on the Nidoqueen, we use Body Slam again and knock out the Nidoqueen. Next up, it sends up Nidoking and we use Sleep Powder, but it does nothing to Nidoking, and we actually managed to land a Sleep Powder on the Nidoqueen finally, but it wakes up right away. We use Sleep Powder again and it wakes up right away. We use Sleep Powder one more time when we actually get it to sleep. I used my last Mega Drain on Nidoking and then used Body Slam to take the W, but Up until I got to Rhydon, I realized that I made a huge mistake, and that was not healing due to the fact that I'm out of power points now. So Rhydon used Rock Slide and ended up getting the KO on me. We come back for the rematch. We used Growth, but this time we actually come fully healed and as well as with full power points, so that's good. We ended up knocking out the Duck Trio. Next up, Persian. We put the cat to sleep and we go for a body slam. Takes about a quarter of health. Use body slam again. Takes about another quarter, and then we finish off with a body slam for the final hit. Nidoking uses Tail Whip on me. We start off by putting it to sleep. Giovanni uses a guard spec. We use 2 growths, and then we use a third one. It's still asleep. Use a growth for the 4th time. We use another growth and it's still asleep, and then we continue by using Mega Drain, which we land another crit. That's unfortunate. We don't want crits, and as you see, that's why we don't want a crit. But we use Body Slam and get the W on Nidoqueen. Next up, we use Body Slam on the Nidoking and use Mega Drain to finish it off. Lastly, Rhydon, and this time I have PP for Rhydon, so that's good. We use Mega Drain and get the 1-hit KO on Rhydon. Next up, we make our way towards Rival, where we fight him for the last time before we fight him at the Elite Four. It starts out with Sand Slash. We send out our Bulbasaur and we start trying to set up using Growth. Starts out by using Poison Sting, but that's the best move Sand Slash has against our Bulbasaur, so that's unfortunate for it. But I realized that I was about to level up since I didn't level up with Giovanni, and I decided to stop and just go for the KO and set up on Execute, which would have made it a little bit easier as well since it has nothing that's effective against me. We knock out the Execute. Next up is Cloyster, and this is easy. We use a Mega Drain and knock it out in 1 hit. Next up, Magneton, and we use Body Slam, taking almost a half health. Use a Body Slam, leaving it at 1 HP. Sadly, we get confused, but our Bulbasaur still manages to land the hit on the Magneton and as well the Kadabra. Lastly, Flareon, and I hurt myself due to confusion. And then I hit myself again. So that's unfortunate, but Mega Drain didn't do enough damage as I suspected it would have, and Flareon uses Fire Spin on us, pretty much essentially getting us knocked out. We come back for the rematch. We go ahead and use Mega Drain right off the bat, and we use Body Slam to try to go for the KO, but it survives and we have to use 1 more Body Slam, which we knocked it out this time. Now with Execute, we can go ahead and set up, and we decided to use 6 growths, and even if it does damage, no problem, we can go ahead and recover that with Cloyster, but Execute just continues to spam Poison Powder since AI thinks that's what's effective, but unfortunately it's not. We use Mega Drain on the Cloyster, recover back to full health, go against the Magneton, use a Body Slam right off the bat, get a Paralysis, knock it out with Body Slam. Kadabra is easy as well, use a Body Slam, get the KO. Now lastly, Flareon, we're at full health against it, which we use a Sleeping Powder right off the bat, finish it off with Body. So we've reached the Pokemon League. Now we're finally about to face our first Elite Four member, and she starts off by sending Duwong. She uses Aurora Beam, which takes me down below half health, and I use Sleep Powder, which I put the Duwong to sleep. Now the trick here is initially just set up with Growth and swipe her team with Mega Drain. So Duwong finally woke up, and I used Mega Drain, and I recover initially almost all my health that was lost, but it survives with like a slither of health. Uses a Super Potion, and I finish it off with the next Mega Drain. Cloyster is an easy one shot. I pretty much use Mega Drain, wipe it out in 1 hit. Now Slowbro, I decided it's a little bit of a tanky guy, so I might as well go ahead and finish setting up with Growth. So I did, and I use Body Slam, but it survives, and then I have to use another Body Slam to initially finish it off. But next up, Jinx, and he uses Ice Punch, which is super effective against me, and manages to get a freeze. So that's another reset. Now attempt 2 on Lorelei, we pretty much make our way, and she starts out by sending Duwong, which I automatically start using Growth, but Duwong's good AI is trying to rest even though it's at full health. But I managed to use Body Slam and it actually goes to sleep this time. I use Body Slam because I know I'm gonna level up pretty soon, so I want to go ahead and level up first and then proceed to start setting up with growth, which I'll set up at Slowbro. Now that I've gotten the cloister out of the way, we can go ahead and start setting up, which we set up our first growth. We use sleep powder next on the Slowbro, put it to sleep, and we proceed to use growth and set up, and it wakes up. But at this point I feel like I'm pretty confident. I just want to go ahead and use Mega Drain and knock out the Slowbro in 2 hits. Next he sends out Jinx, and I put the Nicki Minaj to sleep, and I use Body Slam. Proceed to knock it out in 2 hits. Lastly, Lapras, use Mega Drain on the Lapras. Pretty much almost wipe it out in 1 hit, but it survives, so I have to use a second move and finish off the Lapras. So Lorelei actually posed a little bit of a challenge considering she is a water type. Next up we're against Bruno. This should be a pretty much walk in the park. Even with Onyx we go ahead and start trying to set up with growth, but I don't need to set up in too much honestly, just because I mean I could initially just one shot the Onyx even without setting up growth. He sends out Hitmonchan, we finish off the Hitmonchan, and I level up unfortunately. But no big deal, we can just go ahead and swipe through the team even without setting up. We finish off the Hitmonlee with Body Slam. And next up Onyx, we use Mega Drain and get a critical hit, swiping it in 1 hit. Lastly Machamp, so yeah, that not super effective, right? It almost took me out in 1 hit. Anyways, we put the Machamp to sleep, it wakes up, we put it back to sleep, and now I'm hoping it stays asleep. We use Mega Drain, heal up, use Mega Drain once more, and actually knock out the Machamp into Mega Drain.